This right here is Excalibur, or Excalibur Prime if you're one of the lucky ones. Now, he's not really that different to the normal Excalibur, if I'm being honest. Now, he is of course one of our starter Warframes, the poster boy for Warframe, and not only that, he's also one of the best frames in the game right now. You can build him for crowd control with his blind ability and lock down large groups of enemies, opening them up to finisher attacks at the same time, or you could build him for his ultimate ability called Exalted Blade and just wreak havoc. It completely depends on which you prefer. Now, Excalibur is probably one of the better balanced frames in the game right now, and he's the one that I would recommend to new players simply because of how well he scales and his survivability is pretty solid. You can choose to mod him for more armor, for more shields, for health conversion, entirely up to you. You can also use his slash dash ability to build up a nice combo counter if you have its augment, or you could run him for radial javelin, but if we're being honest, his blind ability and his exalted blade are probably where Excalibur excels the most. So let's simplify things down a little with regards to Excalibur. If you're running your Excalibur for blind, then the most important thing to know is that enemies need to be in your line of sight. If they're not, then they won't be affected. So a small tip that I've found is that jumping above objects and casting your blind will help reach enemies that might be behind cover. Range, efficiency and duration all affect his blind, so mod with that in mind. I prefer more range so I can affect as large an area as possible. Blinded enemies are also open to finisher attacks, which can lead to really easy kills. But probably the most important thing to know about his blind ability is that when an enemy is blinded, it gets shifted back into the unalerted state, which leaves them open to an 8 times stealth damage multiplier. So when you combine an Excalibur's blind and say his Exalted Blade ability, it leads to crazy damage. Also, if a damage proc like gas or slash is applied to an enemy while they're unalerted or affected by the blind, it will deal 35% of the attack's base damage and then the 8 times multiplier on top of that. So modding for slash and gas is the preferred setup for a lot of Excalibur users, especially the min-maxers, exactly like we would have modded our cost assist before it got nerfed into just an average trash weapon. Now, when modding your Excalibur for Exalted Blade, remember that your melee weapon is just a shell for the mods that help increase your Exalted Blade's damage. The weapon's stats themselves don't get carried over. Like I've said already, his Exalted Blade will take advantage of the stealth blind mechanics of Excalibur's blind ability and of course the gas bleed effects as well. Now, running gas is an incredible amount of fun, and not just that, it scales really well on certain weapons like the Lanka or any high status weapon as well. With the cost assist charge attack, it was an absolute beast having gas in it. Was, but not anymore. I'm not salty about that at all, really I'm not. I'm fine. Move on. Now, AoE damage from those gas clouds are a great advantage against large groups of enemies because it will help burn those enemies down faster. Now, of course, when modding your Excalibur for his Exalted Blade, you will want a manageable energy drain, decent power strength and some duration as well, because you will still be casting blind on a regular basis to help increase your Exalted Blade's damage output. Now, power strength will affect your Exalted Blade's damage output, so you will want enough of that as well. Exalted Blade's damage is evenly balanced between impact, puncture and slash, so you can either leave it that way or you could pop in a slash mod to your weapon to offset it a little to help generate more slash procs, or you could pop in an impact mod if you're going against corpus and so on. You can mod your weapon for corrosive, for radiation, for magnetic, for gas, for slash. It's entirely up to you, whichever you feel works best for the mission you're about to run. But the combination of gas and slash on your melee weapon is one that is used by a lot of min-maxer Excaliburs at the minute, and a lot of min-maxers for a very long time have been using that combination on different weapons as well. And the reason for this is because of how well slash damage and of course gas scales into late game. With corrosive projections, these damage types absolutely annihilate everything. It's also important to know that mods like Body Count and Blood Rush won't work on your Exalted Blade ability, so don't have those on your melee weapon. You will want to mod your sword for damage, crit, attack speed, maybe life strike if you think you need it, and so on. You will want to mod for crit because enemies will be blinded, and when you combine the crit multiplier with the 8 times stealth multiplier, you can expect them to die really fast, not to mention the damage from bleed effects or gas procs as well. Now Exalted Blades base crit is 15% chance and a 200% crit multiplier before you put crit mods on your actual melee weapon. His Exalted Blades waves also suffer damage drop off as well, so don't be too far away from your targets or you won't deal as much damage as you want. And Excalibur's passive is that he will deal 10% more damage when wielding a sword and attack 10% faster as well. So using a weapon like an Ikana or a Scanna and weapons of that category will help increase your damage output. But like I've said, remember the weapon is just a shell for your mods when using Exalted Blade. The weapon's actual stats mean nothing. So how did I go about modding my Excalibur? Right now I have two separate builds on him. I have config A, which is my blind crowd control, which focuses on range, duration and efficiency, and config B is my Exalted Blade build, which focuses on power strength and a balance of duration, efficiency and range. For the Exalted Blade build, you could, if you wanted, mod for more survivability with a redirection mod in there or a steel fiber, entirely up to you. Or you could use the Samaras mod energy conversion, which gives you 50% increased power strength when you pick up an energy orb, but that would mean waiting until you pick up an energy orb before actually casting Exalted Blade, which you might not want to do. You might want to just run with Exalted Blade right from the start. A few of you guys wanted to know what the colour setup was for my Excalibur, and because I'm not really into doing fashion frame videos, I have actually given my colour setup to Hydroxate, so the link to his recent video, which is the Halloween edition of his Off the Runway, my Excalibur and the colour setup for that is at the end, and the link for his video is in the description to this one. That's Excalibur simplified down a little bit, I hope. This was a video that a lot of you guys requested on my Ember video, and my voice is starting to go, so I'm going to try and finish this quickly. That's Ember, Oberon, Hydroid and Melee Saren all covered in the last few weeks. So who should I cover next? Atlas maybe? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, or don't if you didn't. Subscribe for more Warframe, and as always, thanks very much for watching.